Today I'm going to answer the top 3 questions that I get asked all the time, over and over. Some of them I've gotten the same question for literally years. And so I want to answer that today. And then I'm going to answer a couple of your questions that you have submitted that are individual questions that it just would take too long for me to type out a reply. And then I'm just going to finish up with a couple of rapid fire comments, questions that I have gotten over the past, or just in the past couple months as I was scrolling through looking at my comments that I have received. I got this idea from my friend Brittany Olga. I'm sure you've seen her YouTube channel. She has a great homeschool YouTube channel. If you haven't seen her, check it out. But I saw this and I was like, that's a really good idea. So I'm gonna do kind of the same thing with a little bit of a twist. I'm gonna add some questions that I get asked frequently. By the way, don't mind my background. I am mid homeschool clean out purge, and that is where I am storing all the things right now. So first question is Abeka versus the good and the beautiful. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I have shared Abeka in the past. That was one of my main curriculum companies that I shared towards the beginning. We don't really use at the beginning of my YouTube channel. I don't really use them that much anymore. There's nothing wrong with Abeka. It's just I've used it mostly in the younger grades, and kind of my kids have phased out of what I had wanted to use them for. However, so it's mostly Abeka versus the good and the beautiful for the younger years, like teaching them to read and things like that. So my answer for you is I can't answer that for you. And I know that sounds like kind of lame and just like a cop-out, but it's really true. Now, for example, so my older two, I used a combination of Abeka and the good and the beautiful. They could kind of go either way, but they generally preferred Abeka. My younger one, I was doing Abeka to teach her to read, and she liked the Abeka readers, but pretty much everything else she hated. And she's a very easygoing, happy-go-lucky child, and she was just like very obstinate about using Abeka, and she loves the good and the beautiful. So at the end of the day, you're going to teach your child to read as long as you have some sort of phonics program. And I know this sounds probably not the greatest thing to say as like a homeschool YouTube person, but like just having some perspective. My kids are going in 7th, 5th, and 3rd grade. I taught the younger two to read, and so they will read, they will pick it up. Don't put that much pressure on yourself. I know at the beginning it's like, oh my goodness, I have to choose the exact right one. Choose one that's going to fit you and your child. If you're trying to force it for you or them, it's going to be a really bad experience. You're going to end up in tears, or your child will end up in tears, and it's just going to be a nightmare, honestly. So I can't say which one is going to work better for you. It's just really depends. And I have gotten that question so many times, and that is 100% my answer all the time. Now, preferably, I prefer the Abeka version of how they teach. I just think that the way they do their readers with their phonics cards and the worksheets and all that, I think it blends seamlessly and beautifully. But like I said, I have to even double down on this answer, having my 3rd child who just threw me for a spin, absolutely refusing to do Abeka and loving the good and the beautiful. And so we did a combination of both, and she reads really great now too. So again, I can't answer that for you. That is something you have to kind of look at videos, look at samples. I have plenty of videos on, in-depth, thorough look-throughs, and if you can't find it through me, I'm sure there's other YouTube videos who have a lot too. So that would be my answer for that. Next one is, now this one isn't quite as frequent, only because we have been doing BJU Press just in the last year, and I've only been sharing about BJU Press in the last year, but it is BJU Press versus the good and the beautiful. And if I can do a comparison. So I will be doing a comparison because I've gotten that question quite a bit. I will be doing a comparison video, but let me explain if you want to listen to just a minute of an explanation. My oldest daughter did the good and the beautiful level 4 and level 5. So we have those, I still have those, so I can use those comparisons. We don't have level 6, so I can't do a comparison for level 6. For BJU Press, my daughter did level 4 and my other one did level 6. We haven't done level 5 yet. So really the only comparison I can really do that's fair is between The Good and the Beautiful and BJU level 4s. However, level 4 for BJU, when I bought it, it was the current edition, but it's being updated. So I'm like, I'm not going to show you guys an outdated version if you're not even going to get that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare level 5, because my daughter will be using level 5 of BJU Press and my other daughter has already used it. Hopefully you're following along with this. But I want to give us a couple weeks to do, because it's a newer version of BJU Press. And I just want to give us a couple weeks so that I can really kind of get a feel for what it is and what it's like. And so that will be coming. I'm sorry if you wanted that a little bit sooner, but I just want to give like a quality video and one that's going to be the most current, because I did a BJU Press video of flip through, and a couple of you were like, oh, the level 4 isn't the current issue. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. So I didn't even realize that. They snuck in a new edition in the last year. But level 6 for BJU Press, if you look at my videos for that, that is still the edition as of the filming of this video. That is still the edition that they have currently. So I have quite a few videos in The Good and the Beautiful level 4 and 5 flip throughs, so you can look at that. You can look at my BJU Press flip throughs and kind of get an idea if you're looking. But as far as a side-by-side video, I don't have that out yet. It will be coming. And then if you're wondering, like, what about the lower grades? I haven't used BJU Press for the lower grades, so I can't really do a comparison for that. Okay, and then this is my number one question. Number one, I have not made an designated Abeka video in, I don't know, 2 years, maybe a year and a half. I can't even remember, but I still, looking through my comments, still get this question so many times. So either people aren't watching the full video, or I just never ever explain it. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just never mention it, but I don't know. I feel like I'm sure I have at least once. The question is about the lesson plans for Abeka. Do I need the lesson plans for Abeka? So here's my thing. It depends on what you're looking for, okay? Now, there's gonna be Abeka moms who, you know, you've seen in like the Facebook groups, yes, you have to have the lesson plans for every single thing. There's other ones who are like, no, you don't need it. I'm not gonna go with any of those answers. What I will say is, I think it really depends. It depends on the level. It depends on your knowledge of subject that you're teaching. It depends on how confident you are, if you are a first-time homeschooler or you've done this before and you're kind of familiar with how it goes. It depends on your child. There are some curriculum that you have to have the teacher guide or the lesson plan in order to do the curriculum. This one, you do not have to have the lesson plans. Now, Abeka has lesson plans and then the teacher key, like the answer key. Those are two separate purchases. So if you get the lesson plans, you will not have the answer key. If you just want the answer key, you have to use that one. You have to buy that one separately. But if the lesson plans are going to like do reviews, it's going to teach the new concept with a couple of like exercises for you to do back and forth with your child. And then it's going to introduce, it's going to say, you know, do work on page 56 of your worksheet. And so that's what the lesson plans are going to be. I really like them for language arts. I use them. I enjoyed them. I didn't like the kindergarten lesson plans, but first, second, and third grade for their language arts, I really like the lesson plans. Not everybody does. Some people, it's very overwhelming and daunting, and they're just like wanting, they can teach from the worksheet. Now, some people are not going to like that answer that I'm saying that, but I can't refute what other people have said. I have not done the Abeka math. I haven't done that. I've only used their worksheets, their math books as like worksheet supplements to our main math. And so I cannot say on that one, but I would assume, to the best of my knowledge, is pretty similar. It's going to have some review, introduce the new concept, and then say what you should do, you know, what page number you should do in your math book. As far as like history and science for the younger years, I would say no, you don't need the lesson plans. Like just read the history book, read the science book, read the health book. You don't need lesson plans for that unless you just really want to. And then when they get a little bit older, again, I don't really have much experience with older, but I would say probably so. It just, again, depends. Are you confident with grammar? Are you confident teaching math? If you are, then maybe not, but if you're not, I would just go ahead and purchase them. You could probably get them used on Facebook or eBay, and then if you don't use them, you can always resell them. So you're not really gonna lose that much money. You could probably even go even if you buy it used and then resell it. You probably won't lose any money at all. I would just, it's not gonna hurt anything to try it. So now I'm gonna go to a couple comments that are a little bit longer and would involve like a very detailed explanation that'll just be easier for me to say it. So the first one is, please do a video on common issues with homeschooling, like how to be calm when anyone gets frustrated, what to do when they just wanna be silly or muck around, when you need to, are you British? I like that, muck around. I'm gonna start saying that. Don't muck around. Muck around when you need to do lessons, what to do when they get upset every time when things get wrong, what to say when they could do something but they're acting a little silly and defeatist and you can't get them to work. Thanks. Okay, so kind of just like overall, how do you get the kids to do their lessons, right, is what I'm saying. So I have a couple notes here. Let me first just say, I am not the most patient mom in the world. Now, do I tell my children I love them all the time and give them hugs and encourage them and really like support them? Like, I am pretty good at that. I'm a pretty good encourager. But as far as patience go, especially when it's like you have 3 kids all needing you at once and then you've got the baby and all this, it can be a lot. So let me just first of all say, if you're not the most patient mom, I'm not either, and so just consider that when you're listening to my response. So if they're being silly, do they need to just get some energy out? I know for my daughter, one of my children, I'm like, when she's just like, when I can tell like it's just not sinking in and she's just, all over the place, I'm like, okay, go run a couple laps around the inside of our house. Our house is kind of like a circle. And so I said, I'll time you, run around 10 times. And she loves that. She's still young enough where that is fun to her. So maybe they just need to get a little bit of energy out when they're being silly. And then sometimes my kids are being silly, like not necessarily one-on-one when I'm doing a lesson, but as a group, like when we're trying to do our group subjects or read aloud or whatever, and they kind of just feed off of each other. I don't know if your kids are like that, but my for sure are. Honestly, what I do, and I'm not saying this is the best solution because it usually generally works. I kind of give them like, that's enough type of thing, and like, all right, seriously, like that's enough. And then if it keeps continuing, I'm like, okay, well, you guys aren't listening and you're taking my time. So we're gonna stop this. And then when we pick back up, I expect you to have different behavior. But since we're having to stop, for 10 or 15 minutes, that's 10 or 15 minutes I'm taking away from something that you were looking forward to and that you wanted to do. And when I kind of throw that out there, then they kind of like, okay, let me simmer down a little bit. And they're like, okay, we'll be serious. We'll stop now. And so that I feel like has kind of worked, but to just keep, after once or twice, to just keep, hey, stop. I feel like there's something that needs to either change, like maybe you do need to take a break for 10 or 15 minutes and go outside and that, but if it's just them being silly for the sake of being silly, maybe you remind them, like, you're taking up my time by doing this. I keep having to stop to correct you. Now I'm going to take something of yours, your time, that's less time that you get to do something that you wanted to do. And then when they're frustrated, like it's not even silly, they're just frustrated, think of a couple things. So are they very tired? Have they been going a lot? Have you had a lot of recent activity that they're just not used to? So kind of keep that in the back of your head. Maybe give them a little bit like, okay, I get it. We've been going a lot this week and you're frustrated. Let's cut back on, whatever, handwriting today. We'll cut back on that, or your spelling exercise, or cut back on a couple things. I know that works really well. And that way we just are doing the basics. So we're still doing school. We're still getting things done. We're just not pushing ourselves as hard as we need to. Maybe they're hungry. I know that is a main thing. Like, I don't know what it is, but my kids, even myself, we're all hungrier like during school time. And I do know what it is. Your brain uses a lot of energy to focus and work and do things like that. So take a snack break. Give them a couple minutes for a snack break. And then I have to remember, like, have we been going doing our lessons for a long time. You know, us as adults, we can withstand a lot longer time periods of doing, you know, schoolwork and academic work and things like that. And so for me, I'm like, well, we've been going for, you know, 2 hours and I'm fine, but like they need a break, right? And so keeping that in mind, how long have I been doing lessons for? Oh, it's been quite a while. Let's hold on. You can go take a break. And so when I let them take a break on their own, they do things like Play-Doh. They will color, they will draw, they will do art. They like to print out coloring pages. My one daughter, especially when she's having a frustrating time and just really like whatever the reason may be, I will have her favorite thing to do is look at the memories on my phone. So Google Photos has it, and iPhones do. I'm sure Android does as well. So just going through, and she gets to like select through, and like they play it to background music, and they just do a little vignette of like maybe her and her sister, or me and her, or something like that. And it just picks through different photos, and she will look at that for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and it really does a trick. So that is number one thing. I'm like, do you want to look at memories? Yes, I do. And all my girls really like to look at the memories now. And so it's just like a really good way to kind of settle our nerves, and then we can refocus. And then try to just remember, like, we're all humans. We're all, especially homeschooling, we're all around each other all the time, right? You're in the morning doing your morning routine, and then school, and then afternoon and dinner and evening and all that. So we're bound to, you know, bump heads every once in a while, and that is normal and that's typical, and there's nothing wrong with you. And it's not like everybody else has these flawless homeschools and you are just, your kids are, you know, the broken ones, and you're just the broken mom. It's not like that. We all face this. So keep that in mind too. Okay, the next one says, aloha. Aloha, I like that. I have been homeschooling my 9-year-old grandson for 2 years now, and I feel as though I don't have a sense of direction. His reading is pretty high. I have not been consistent, so I feel lost. I want to know what level he is in before starting this school year. How do I test him to see where he is at to get the appropriate level for this coming school year? I know there are lots of information out there, but I get overwhelmed by it and paralyze myself. Any information is greatly appreciated. So first of all, let me just say, like, you are homeschooling your grandson. That is awesome. That is such a blessing that you're doing that. And I totally relate to that feeling of being paralyzed and overwhelmed. Totally felt like that my first year of homeschooling. It was just, there's a lot. It's hard. It can feel very paralyzing and overwhelming. So that is totally normal. So this comment, now her grandson is 9 years old. Your grandson's 9 years old. So that would maybe around 3rd grade-ish. This comment was made on my 7th grade homeschool curriculum choices video. So unfortunately, because it's on that type of video, I'm not even sure if you're interested in some of the curriculum. Like, I don't know what curriculum you're looking at, because your 3rd grader's not going to be using my 7th grader's curriculum. So that makes it a little bit tricky, but I do have just a couple general points to point you in the right direction. So first of all, and then any homeschooler worth their salt is going to say this, reading lots of books. Your grandson, you said he's a good reader. So encourage that. Take him to the library. Buy used books on eBay, and you can get them for so cheap, or Facebook Marketplace. eBay is the best place I found to find used books. So that way he's still reading, and you're encouraging that. So absolutely keep doing that. So next, you said you're not consistent. Now that one, I would say, is something to try to focus on. And I'm not saying that you have to do, you know, go all out in the nth degree of every single subject and all these art projects and science experiments and do a history, what's the word, when they dress up, reenactment or anything like that. Like, it doesn't have to be all out, but I would definitely say consistency is key, even if it's just for math and language arts and reading, making sure you're still doing that. It will help build in that, okay, I know what's coming next. I know what is expected of me from your grandson. Children need that. They need to know what's coming next and what is happening. It's just very important. So I would say try to focus on that. And again, it doesn't have to be all these overwhelming subjects and things like that. He's still young, third grade, 9 years old. That's still pretty young. If you do find a science or history or something like that, that's fine. But focusing on the main topics. Now, for your state, you might have to see what, your state may require you to have certain subjects and things like that. Obviously, you're going to go with what your state requires of you, but try to focus on the main things and try to keep consistent with that. Now, even if it's 4 days a week, and then maybe your 5th day is you do something like you go to the park, or you do something, you change it up a little bit, that is fine too. But at least 4 days a week of solid school, talk it over with him and see kind of like what he is looking for, maybe a break day in the middle of the week or at the end of the week or something like that. But make sure that you lay out your expectations. This is what we are doing. This is what our school days will look like. We can be flexible and tweak, what time we start or any of that. That can all be flexible, but you want to make sure that you're consistently sticking with subjects and doing school consistently daily. Okay, and then another part of your question was you asked about testing. Where should you go to for testing? So I assume you're talking about like national state testing. So what that's going to do is that's not going to say your child should be in level 4 of this curriculum or level 2 of that curriculum. State testing is going to just be kind of where they fall on a range of national range for kids of your grandson's age. So, he's at the 85th percentile for reading. He's at the 50th percentile for math. It's just going to give you a general picture. And some kids aren't even good test takers. So they may have good knowledge, but if they don't do well in tests, then it's not even going to be truly accurate or reflective of their knowledge. So I wouldn't even worry about testing, again, unless your state is requiring it. Don't worry about testing. It's for sure not going to show you they belong in this level of this curriculum. You're not going to get a good idea from that. And then as far as just curriculum, I know it is overwhelming. Just pick something for this year. I personally would recommend to you just choosing the good and the beautiful this year for their language arts and their math. It's free. You can download the PDF, like the whole language arts and their whole math curriculum is free. You download the PDF and you can print it out. And that way, at least it's something. If you want to buy the hardbound copies, that's fine, but this is free. But that way you're not spending a bunch of money on something that may or may not work. And their lessons, there's 120 lessons, so it's meant to be done 4 days a week, which gives you that 5th day to do other things that you want, or just kind of a little bit of flexibility within them. It's simple, it's straightforward. There's no separate teacher's guide. There's no hardcore lesson planning. It's straight to the point. And I think whether it's a perfect fit for you and your grandson, maybe not, but at least it's a good starting point. You can always change later on. You don't have to, you're not married to a curriculum, but at least it's something, and it will help keep you consistent and at least starting off. And again, if you're not sure where he should be, which level he should be, you can kind of take a peek. You can download any, level 1, level 2, level 3. You can kind of get an idea where he would be at. And it will show you, it'll do an assessment. Does your child know this? And so and it kind of will tell you where you should place your child. So that is very, very helpful. You're not just stabbing in the dark, picking, I think they should be in level 4 or whatever. You can get an idea. So I would recommend that. And then as far as like history and science and things, keep it, I would do just a textbook. Don't do anything too crazy, too over the top, too hands-on. He might really enjoy hands-on, and maybe that is something that you really enjoy together. I don't know, maybe not, but I would definitely stick with just like a textbook, even though that's not super popular amongst homeschoolers. It's kind of like textbooks kind of get like snubbed because there's more like hands-on approaches and things like that. But if you're feeling yourself overwhelmed, which you are, from your comment, and not consistent, I think reading from a textbook, even though it may not be the most exciting thing, at least it's getting the information out there. And then you can always, once you kind of find your groove and things like that, then maybe you can go. Again, you're not married to it, so it's only a year. You can go and kind of expand your horizons once you get a little bit more comfortable with it. Right now, you just want to focus on consistency. And then this is the last one, and then I'm going to end with a couple of just rapid fire quick ones. This one is, do homeschool dads not exist? Independent work? ? For 9 hours, I'm away at work. Who watches them? Do I have to do full-time daycare and then homeschooling? burnout for the child, I'm pulling my hair. So that's a lot of questions in one. So yes, homeschool dads do exist. I know several who are great dads. They are single homeschool dads. Yes, they do exist. Independent work, question mark. For the 9 hours I'm away at work. So, and then who watches them? I'm gonna kind of lump all that together. Who is watching them now? Are they at school now and you're thinking of pulling them out and then homeschooling? So I don't really know all the context to this question. It's kind of hard. But who is watching? What are they doing now for the 9 hours that you're at work? I would say if there's any sort of, you know, it's very hard because when I know there's a lot of moms who work full time too, and it is a challenge. This is a comment on a video that I made when I was working. Now I was working part-time, and thankfully I had help. I had, you know, family who was able to help, and I would absolutely recommend if you have any family or anything like that you're able to get help with. I know a lot of people aren't. I think it would go back to how important is it for you to homeschool? Is it like, nope, this is a hill I'm gonna die on? Or it's just kind of like, let's kind of dabble in it. How important is it to you? Because if it is, then it's like, well, we can change jobs. And I know that's easier said than done. I'm just throwing that out there. But can we work from home so that I'm home while I can, you know, so someone's watching my children if family members are out. Some people are, you know, I'm very dedicated to this, and this is my priority. So I will do whatever it takes, even if it means change jobs. And you know, I don't know. Obviously every situation is going to be different. There's nuance to every family situation. And so I know I'm throwing out a lot of general ideas, but I'm just saying, like, it is possible. Homeschool single dads exist. I don't know if you're single. From the comment, it sounds like it is, but homeschool single moms exist, and people make it work. It is hard. Like, it's not easy. It is a sacrifice, but I think it is 100% doable. I know it's 100% doable, and I think it is 100% worth it. If that is not an option, and the question was, do I have to do full-time daycare? Are they doing that now? Because if so, then I don't see why they couldn't just continue. Although I don't know if there's many daycares. There's no daycares that I know of that offer care to school-age children. So I'm not really sure. If your kids are young enough for daycare, you don't need to be really homeschooling them. But are they old enough that they can stay home by themselves? Are they teenagers? Like, what are their ages? But yeah, it might have to come to a thing where, like, you're paying for care for them if you can't get family members, that you have someone watch them. If you can't work from home, there's no other family members. But again, homeschooling is your priority. People do it. It is hard, but it is absolutely doable. Okay, and then now I'm going to finish with just a couple like either random comments or just funny things like that. So what I'm doing is going through, and YouTube has, like, there's the back side of YouTube that kind of just shows me comments that I haven't replied to. So I was scrolling through looking for these questions, those 3 questions that I just answered, some common questions that are a little bit harder. And so I saw these and I was just like, oh, let me address these. So the first one is, the comment is, "That's so weird," with 3 exclamation points in that weird squiggly face emoji. So it's my whole video. My whole 21 minute video, however long it is just weird. That's it. It's just so weird. Someone said, "Very cool and nice. Thank you." Someone commented, "Okay, thanks." You're welcome. Another one, "Nancy, did you use the teacher's guide?" I don't know who Nancy is. I have a friend helping me for the rest of these questions. Who's Nancy? All right, I like this next one. It says, "Best way I learned math was when I decided to work as a blackjack dealer." All right, I like that one. I don't know how to play blackjack, but that's pretty funny. Someone else said, "Please do more homeschool videos." I will do more homeschool videos. All right, that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. If there's any questions or anything like that, please leave them down below in the comments. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys. Are you waving bye? Hi. Or bye. Mwah. 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 You ready? You ready?